Our next speaker is Mr. Tadashi Ogawa. I gave an introduction to him in the morning, but still I will say a few words. Mr. Ogawa is the Managing Director of Japan Foundation Center for Global Partnership. Please, you are welcome, Mr. Ogawa.
We take your leave, Chairman. We take your leave from you.
Good afternoon and morning session. Ambassador mentioned Japanese always so apology and Indian always complaints. So my speech start with apology. I'm so sorry for my speech. I know you are so hungry, and so let me speak my speech so short as possible as I can. So Japan Foundation is a 100% Japanese government so funded organization, but we have a certain autonomy like British Council, and to promote cultural exchange between Japan and foreign countries. And the peace building through cultural initiatives has been one of the top priority agenda in our activities. Therefore, let me introduce today some of our projects for peace building through cultural initiatives. And project somehow are related to the case today and yesterday's session focus. First, I would like to talk about relation between peace and culture. As many people argued today, cultural difference are not the cause of conflict. Needless to say, there have been many societies in history peacefully coexisting with others, despite ethnic or difference or regional difference. So we should avoid attributing conflicts and frictions to difference in culture. Yet, we cannot deny culture intensifies such confrontations when ethnic or cultural difference are combined with economy or political interest. Therefore, we must consider how such situations can be prevented in order to define conditions for coexistence and co-prosperity. This problem of coexistence of different ethnic or social group is important even at the local or national level, but it has more difficult dimension in the international arena, because unlike the national level, the international society finds it much more difficult to foster a sense of global community and unity compared to individual nations, ethnic groups, or communities. Therefore, the role of international cultural exchange needs to be emphasized, particularly at the international level. Second, conflict prevention and cultural exchange I would like to talk. And so my definition of cultural exchange is activities that enhance mutual understanding and foster appreciation of mutual identities. We can say it is a process of assimilation, absorption, and integration. At the same time, it functions as a process and the medium for independence, resistance, and isolation. Because of these contradictory aspects, we must find the answer to this question. Under what kind of conditions will cultural activity have a lasting impact? In terms of conflict prevention, mutual understanding, namely developing a sense of unity that can be shared by all human beings, will be of great significance. For instance, Japan Foundation sent a Japanese music conductor, Toshio Yanagisawa, to Yugoslavia. And he succeeded in reuniting chamber orchestra of Balkans, once torn apart during the civil war in 90s. Japanese neutrality and music universality make it possible to raise a common awareness about the need to trust each other among us of Balkan people. And the second, I would like to talk about the cultural exchange for prevention of escalation of conflicts. In regions suffering from long-lasting conflicts, cultural exchange helps prevent the conflicts from escalating further by allowing local people to redefine their own and their opponents' cultural identities, which has been distorted by warfare. Hatred on both sides skew and negatively exaggerate the identities of both parties, fueling escalation of existing conflicts. Cultural exchange contribute to correcting such distortions. Here we might think of the case Japan Foundation granted Japanese NGO, so-called Peace Kids Soccer. This program, young boys from Israel and Palestine are invited to Hiroshima and play soccer together afterwards. Yesterday, Madam Maya mentioned that Hiroshima invokes something special to both parties and create kind of mutual trust. When conflict is prolonged, local people became isolated from other outside world. The true lives and images become obscure in the eyes of outsiders. And the conflict itself, rather than suffering, is present to the world. Thus, the conflict and violence serve as the only medium for connecting the area of conflict with the rest of the world. And the people at the area and their everyday life, mindset, emotions are not communicated well. One of the objectives of cultural exchange is to protect such people against psychological, cultural isolations. That is, to provide links between the citizens in an area of conflict and outside societies. Inviting Baghdad citizens drama groups to Japan in 2004 and have them present a play can be cited as an example of such efforts to bridge people of Iraq with Japanese citizens. The role of exchange after the end of conflict, I can say three factors: mutual healing, and passing down the memory of conflict and anguish, and restoring culture and ethnic pride. Mental healing. When a military or political conflict is near its end, we need to consider how cultural exchange can help heal psychological wounds. Victims on both sides will remain severely distressed, but it must be especially traumatic to be separated from fellow members of the same village or groups and forced to fight against them. To help such people heal their psychological damage, and cultural exchange activities offering both parties an opportunity to bilaterally express their feeling will be of help in defining their identities. A good example is a joint drama workshop held to bridge gap between people who are the government and the rebel side in Aceh, Indonesia, by offering the opportunity to converse with each other and lessen the pains of those who had no choice but to battle against people sharing similar ethnic origins. Passing down the memories of conflict and anguish, physical damage is easily discovered and drawn to everybody's attention. But mental anguish does not surface unless those who suffer open up their hearts. In many cases, those suffering are reluctant to talk about their agony. Providing such people with opportunity to express themselves and keeping a record of their psychological wounds will ease the process of reconciliation and future conflicts. This can be done through cultural activities and restoring cultural and ethnic pride. Conflicts often destroy or distort self-identity and demolish cultural traditions in which ethnic identity is expressed. Hence, a post-conflict peace-building process should include activities for restoring and re-establishing symbol of ethnic cultural identity, providing various grants and fellowship, especially to students. And if you are interested in our foundation, and we are very happy to work with you. Thank you very much.